Okay, so good afternoon, dear students. In today's class, we will learn hormonal regulation of lipid metabolism. That is the role of hormones in controlling the rate of lipid metabolism as per our body requirements. That is what we will learn in today's class. So the learning objectives, specific learning objectives. So at the end of this class, the student shall be able to explain the regulation of lipid metabolism by below mentioned hormones. That is norepinephrine, epinephrine and glucagon, insulin, glucocorticoids, growth hormones and thyroid hormones, leptin and adenopectin. Okay. So introduction. So the hormones that regulate, hormones regulate lipid metabolism by activation and inactivation of hormone-sensitive lipase, that is lipoprotein lipase, which carries out lipolysis, that is breakdown of lipids. Okay, so lipase is regulated through cyclic AMP binding and activation of protein kinase A. So by an enzyme, so it is regulated by cyclic AMP binding, that is cyclic AMP is binding and activation of protein kinase A. The protein kinase A phosphorylate lipases. What it does is, it will phosphorylate the lipases, perilipin A and CGI58, an important protein for lipid biosynthesis, and increase the hormone sensitive lipase activity. So this leads to increase in rate of lipid breakdown, that is lipolysis. So the catecholamines, adrenaline and noradrenaline, so what they do is they bind to G protein coupled receptors of adipocyte cell membrane and activate the adenylate cyclase. Okay, so due to that, what happens is, again, that will lead to lipolysis. So the result is increased production of cyclic AMP. So this activates the pKa, that is protein kinase A enzyme, and increase the hormone sensitive lipase activity. So this leads to increase in the rate of lipolysis. Okay. Now we will see how hormones regulate the lipid metabolism. Okay. So there are 5 types of hormones, or 5 groups of hormones that regulate lipid metabolism by different ways. One is norepinephrine, epinephrine and glucagon, insulin, glucocorticoids, growth hormone and thyroid hormone, leptin and adenopectin. Okay. So firstly, norepinephrine, epinephrine and glucagon. So during fasting, stress and hypoglycemic conditions where the glucose level is low, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine and glucagon, so is released. Okay, so they activate the adenylate cyclase. So this will form cyclic AMP. So the cyclic AMP will activate protein kinase A and increase the lipase activity, that is hormone sensitive lipoprotein lipase activity. So this will lead to increase in the rate of lipid breakdown, because since this happens in starving conditions, so that will be the requirement. So because then in that case our body will be depending upon the breakdown of lipid for energy. Okay. So insulin acts opposite to that of epinephrine, norepinephrine and glucagon. So here insulin performs 2 major functions with regard to regulation of fatty acid, that is lipid metabolism. So the first one is, insulin will promote synthesis of fatty acids in liver. So it promotes glycogen synthesis in liver. First thing is, we all know that it promotes glycogen synthesis in liver, and as the glycogen level saturates, that is when the glycogen level is around 5% of the total liver mass, so the liver will not be able to further take up the glycogen. So the glycogen synthesis is suppressed, and excess of glucose taken up by the hepatocyte is diverted towards synthesis of fatty acids and are exported from the liver as lipoprotein. So the excess of glucose that is taken up by the liver cells will be diverted towards synthesis of fatty acid, that is fatty acid synthesis. Okay, and further these fatty acids that are synthesized in the liver are exported into the circulation as various lipoproteins that we have discussed in your previous class. So these lipoproteins are carriers of lipids, and they carry the fatty acids for use in other tissues including adipocytes, which use them to synthesize triglyceride. Okay. So the second thing is insulin breaks down fat in adipose tissue. It is only in adipose tissue insulin promotes the breakdown of lipids, so lipolysis. So that is something you need to remember, because here insulin acts in two ways. In other tissues it promotes that is lipogenesis, whereas in adipose tissue specifically it promotes breakdown of lipids. So here it inhibits intracellular lipase that hydrolyzes triglyceride to release fatty acids. Okay, so this facilitates the entry of glucose into adipocytes. Then the glucose can be used for the synthesis of glycerol. Okay, so this glycerol along with fatty acid is delivered from the liver or used to synthesize triglyceride with adipocyte. Okay, further, so this is so by these mechanisms what it does is insulin is involved in further accumulation of triglyceride in fat cells. Okay, so here you have the summary of the role of insulin. Insulin promotes in skeletal muscles, it promotes glycogen synthesis, uptake of fatty acid, and in adipose tissue it promotes uptake of fatty acid and decreases lipolysis, and in liver the fatty acid is delivered to that is liver and glycerol. So here insulin initially increases glycogen synthesis. So once it is saturated, what happens? So glycogen synthesis is stopped and the remaining glucose is diverted towards synthesis of lipids. Okay, it also decreases the rate of gluconeogenesis. Okay, so glucocorticoids, growth hormone and thyroid hormones. Glucocorticoids, growth hormone and thyroid hormones facilitate the lipolysis by inducing hormone sensitive lipase. Okay, so the next two hormones are that act main specifically in adipose tissue. So adipose tissue, that is the fat tissue, secretes various factors that regulate glucose and lipid metabolism. So the two most important of them are leptin and adenopectin. Okay, so leptin is a protein released from adipocytes as their triglyceride level increases. Okay, in adipocyte when the triglyceride level increases, leptin is released. So it binds to the receptors of hypothalamus, which leads to the release of neuropeptides that signal the cessation of eating. So it is called as anorexogenic factor. So that is, it reduces hunger. Okay, so mainly it acts on the brain, hypothalamus, and reduces hunger, leptin. So it also inhibits intracellular lipid concentration. So it activates 5-AMP and activated protein kinase, what we call it as AMPK. So it inhibits acetyl coenzyme A carboxylase. So it also increases fatty acid, that is acetyl coenzyme A is required for biosynthesis of lipids. Increase fatty acid oxidation, and so it increases fatty acid oxidation, that is it promotes breakdown of lipids and reduce the level of fat tissue in muscles and liver. Okay, so the one more and finally the last hormone is adenopectin. Okay, so this is a protein, and unlike leptin, adenopectin secretion is reduced by adipocyte as the adipocytes get larger, that is in obese patient, this hormone level will be low. Adenopectin binding to receptors on binding, so it leads to activation of AMPK and PPAR alpha. So here these AMPK and PPAR will increase fatty acid oxidation by liver and muscles, breakdown of fat, it promotes breakdown of fat, and it increases uptake and utilization of glucose by the muscles, and also it decreases hepatic glucose production. Okay, so in short, it promotes breakdown of lipids. Okay, in obesity, less adenopectin is released, and therefore it is more difficult for fatty acid and glucose to be used by the tissues. So in summary to today's class, so hormones promoting lipolysis are norepinephrine, epinephrine, glucagon, glucocorticoids, growth hormone, thyroid hormones, leptin and adenopectin. So hormones that promote lipogenesis are insulin. So this is what happens when the patient or when a person is fed very well under fed states, that is after a meal. So the body releases insulin. It stimulates the uptake of glucose by the fat cells, that is adipocytes, and it stimulates glycolysis. So because of increased level of glycerol phosphate synthesis, and also it increases esterification, and it inactivates the hormone sensitive lipase enzyme, which is required for breakdown of lipids. So the net effect is, so it is an anabolic hormone, so it promotes formation of fatty acid and prevents breakdown of lipids and fatty acids. When you are starving, what happens is the glucose level will be very low, and our body starts utilizing lipids and other amino acids as a source of energy. So in lipids, what happens is glucagon and epinephrine will activate hormone sensitive lipase, and the triglycerides will mobilize and increase the level of free fatty acids. Okay, so it inhibits lipogenesis. Okay, so this is something the thought for the day. So the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique is something where it is suggested that you should read for 25 minutes, then relax, then again you can continue to work. So here there are 5 steps that are being mentioned. Decide on the task to be done, define the objectives of learning, decide like what you have to study, then set the timer to 25 minutes, work on the task until the timer rings, take a short 5-minute break, and then continue again. Okay, after 1 hour or after 1.5 hours, take 15 to 30 minute break and then continue. This is the way you should learn, that is little by little every day, and in each day when you study you should study at least for 3 hours, so taking breaks every 25 minutes.